Have you ever felt lost, like you're just drifting through life without a real sense of direction? For years, I felt that way. I was waiting, hoping for some divine whisper to tell me the secret reason for my existence. I'm sure many of you can relate. We all know we have a purpose, but identifying it can feel impossible. But what if I told you that I finally heard the answer? And it's simpler and more profound than you might imagine. The main reason for your existence, and for mine, is to glorify God. That's it. It's the one central truth that everything else in life ties back to. All the other purposes we hear about in the Bible are branches of this one great tree. So, let's explore what this actually means in our day-to-day lives. First, we were created to know God and have a relationship with Him. Think about it. In Genesis 1 verse 26, it says, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness." We were designed for fellowship, not for distance. Jesus himself said in John 17 verse 3, "This is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God." We exist to walk with God, to talk with Him, and to reflect His very nature. This leads directly to the second point. We are here to glorify and worship God. Now, this isn't just about singing songs on a Sunday morning. It's about our entire lives becoming an act of honor. Isaiah 43 verse 7 says, "Everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory." And the Apostle Paul drives this home in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Every single action, every choice, can point back to God's greatness. Third, our purpose is to reflect God's image and character. Genesis 1 verse 27 tells us, "So God created mankind in His own image." This is a unique and incredible calling. We are meant to be mirrors of His love, His righteousness, His creativity, and His mercy. Ephesians 4 verse 24 encourages us to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. When people see us, they should get a glimpse of Him. Fourth, we were given the responsibility to steward and care for creation. In the very beginning, Genesis 1 verse 28 gives the instruction to fill the earth and subdue it, rule over. This wasn't a command to exploit, but to manage and protect. Genesis 2 verse 15 clarifies that God put humanity in the garden to work it and take care of it. We are caretakers, entrusted with the beautiful world He made. Fifth, a huge part of our purpose is to live in loving community with others. God Himself said in Genesis 2 verse 18, "It is not good for the man to be alone." We were built for relationships. That's why one of the greatest commandments is to love your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus taught in Matthew 22, verse 39. Our existence is deeply woven into family, friendship, and mutual love. Sixth, we find our purpose when we obey God and walk in His will. This isn't about restrictive rules. It's about finding true freedom and direction. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13 sums it up perfectly. "Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." Our lives gain meaning not when we do whatever we want, but when we align ourselves with the good works God has prepared for us, as mentioned in Ephesians 2 verse 10. Seventh, and this is a beautiful one, we are created to enjoy God and His blessings. This life isn't meant to be a long, empty journey of suffering. Psalm 16 verse 11 promises, "In your presence there is fullness of joy." And 1 Timothy 6 verse 17 reminds us that God, richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. True, lasting joy is found in depending on Him, the source of all good things. Finally, our eighth purpose is to share in God's eternal plan. Our existence is not temporary, it extends far beyond our time on earth. Ephesians 1 verse 4 reveals that He chose us in Him before the creation of the world. We are part of a cosmic story with an eternal destiny. Revelation 22 verse 5 even says that His people will reign forever and ever. Now that you know your ultimate purpose, how do you live it out? How do you follow God's direction in your specific everyday life? The Bible gives us the roadmap, and when we get confused, we can always pray for guidance. Let's look at some practical examples of how different professions can glorify God. Take a software developer or an engineer. You glorify God by building solutions that genuinely solve problems and improve people's lives. You write code that is honest, secure, and responsible. You can refuse to build systems that promote deception, exploitation, or injustice. When you use your skills to serve others, not just for personal gain, you are living out your purpose. Colossians 3 verse 23 says, "Whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men." Your excellence and integrity in creation reflect God's own nature as the master creator. What about a business owner or an entrepreneur? You glorify God by operating with honesty, fairness, and transparency. You create jobs and treat your employees with dignity and respect. You actively avoid greed, exploitation, and corruption. You see profit not as the end goal, but as a tool for generosity and kingdom work. Proverbs 11 verse 1 says, "Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is His delight." Your business becomes an act of worship when profit is stewarded well, not worshipped. If you're a teacher or an educator, your calling is incredible. You glorify God by teaching truth faithfully and accurately. You focus on shaping character, not just filling heads with information. You are patient, fair, and compassionate with your students. You are influencing future generations with wisdom. As Proverbs 15 verse 7 says, "The lips of the wise spread knowledge." Your work mirrors God's role as our great instructor and guide. For all the healthcare workers, the doctors, nurses, and caregivers, you are on the front lines of glorifying God. You do this by caring for human life, which is precious because it bears God's image. You treat every patient with compassion and dignity, serving beyond what's convenient or financially rewarding. You see healing as a service, not as a way to feel superior. Jesus commanded in Matthew 10 verse 8, "Heal the sick, freely you have received, freely give." You are reflecting God's heart as the great restorer. And for the artists and content creators, musicians, filmmakers, writers, designers, you have a powerful opportunity. You glorify God by creating content that uplifts, inspires, and points to truth. You can consciously avoid messages that glorify sin or degrade humanity. Your creativity can reveal beauty, meaning, and hope in a world that desperately needs it. As Psalm 33 verse 3 says, "Sing to Him a new song, play skillfully." You get to influence culture with light instead of darkness, reflecting the ultimate creator. So what's the common thread here? Any profession, any job, any role glorifies God when it is done with excellence, with integrity, with love for people, and in obedience to God. It all comes back to that simple, powerful verse. So whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Take a moment to think about what you do every day. Your job, your hobbies, your relationships. Ask yourself, in what ways does this glorify God? If you can't find an answer, it might be time to reevaluate. It could be a distraction, not your purpose. Stop, pray, and look for a new path that aligns with Him. The journey becomes so much easier, so much more meaningful when we follow His direction. Thanks for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content to help you live out your purpose.